I now invite Yağmur Uygarkızı to now, as I say, step up to the plate, as they say.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, women. I had planned something for today, but before going into it, I just wanted to give a shout out to the French survivor-led feminist group called Collectif Abolition Porno Prostitution for standing up yesterday in the center of Paris against a mob of angry, coward, pro-pimping men who suddenly started throwing eggs. I said, we're vegan, what's going on? And next thing we knew, we were just flooded with this. There was a bit of up and down. It was this time bystanders kind of took it seriously. Some of us went to the police and we said, what are you doing? Are you waiting for the flower? They said, haha, French police, they love a bit of laugh. But it was quite distressing to see every time. Of course, we know what's the point of this, and every year the violence escalates, and this time they were amateurs. Last year, some of the members of the same survivor-led movement were beaten up in the same square. So before saying anything, I just wanted us to remember two things. One, first they came, let's twist it a bit. First, they came for the feminists. They are coming for us right now. So wake up. And two, remember that Cassandra was a woman. So the 8th of March, every year, I dread it and I can't wait for it. And it feels like a new year. It's this yearly benchmark that we have. And I really think that we should take resolutions every 8th of March, because we always go on about safe spaces, and it's very important, of course, but we also need to develop a feminist understanding of time, because there's a first specificity of women's condition, and I will talk about two more today, and it's the fact that the male atrocities committed against us are not historicized. So we hear prostitution has always existed. Rape has always existed. So we are made to understand that it's like God, it never began, so it can never end. Well, obviously that is a lie. And because of this lack of historicization, we also have the difficulty of the feminist movement. Rachel talked about fear earlier. Can you imagine survivors from camps building a political movement against the camps, as the camps are going on, and as the structures that allowed the camps to exist are still there? It is impossible. And we women are doing exactly that. We are doing the impossible. And how does time translate at the individual level, and especially for the youth? I feel that youth is a bit overrated. It's a venison, it withers away. Next thing you know, while you are waiting for change, you get old. And I feel like I'm in this bus stop and I'm waiting for this liberation bus, and I see women who've been there since 1995, Beijing conference, and I wonder when's my turn. And they tell me, you know what they tell me? They tell me 2030, UN Sustainable Development Goals, everything will be achieved by then. And if it's the UN that says it, of course, it must be true, because how could the United Nations of patriarchy ever deceive women? Because there's a second specificity of women's condition, and it's the in bed with the enemy factor. And Julie talked about it quite a lot. Just like there are no ghettos for women, there is also no promised land. There's no rest for us in this world. And any woman-only space has the potential for liberation. And migrant women in particular know this better than anyone else, because we've been north, we've been south, we've been east, we've been west, and we've seen this patriarchy business all over. And we're not surprised. Any new trick it's gonna play, we saw it miles before it was coming. And I wanted to make just something in brackets about migrant women. Please don't patronize us. This new speak business, Clara, you've been talking about it as well. We understand it very well. We actually often speak more languages than most. And if we don't adopt it, it's because we reject it, and we will not capitulate. Now, given the men's systematic crushing of women time and time again, and this parasiting all over the world, we women have lost a sense of self. We do not know we are women. And this is why we identify with every other cause but our own. And this is why we say women, they, instead of we, woman. And this is why when we see a man humiliate and degrade another woman in pornography, we do not see him degrading and humiliating every single one of us. How can I recognize the woman in front of me if I don't recognize the woman in me? And this is why we contend ourselves with expressions like non-men, because we haven't understood that non-men in patriarchal terms doesn't mean woman, it means not being. And this is why we have come to accept the greatest insult of all and have come to believe that men can be women. And we decry the loss of the word woman, and rightly so, because we don't have a name for our sex. But it was predictable, wasn't it? Again, translating at the individual level, we women do not even have a name of our own. We carry the name of our fathers or the name of the father of our daughters. By the way, hence the central importance of surrogacy under patriarchy, because you have to be a father to be able to rule. Now, given this context that we have, this unique situation we're facing, I think that one of the resolutions we can take is to define ourselves positively. And I have just a few suggestions. Obviously, it's a non-exhaustive list, but I was thinking that perhaps instead of calling ourselves separatists, we should be calling ourselves unionists, like Marina Terrani suggests, to signal the fact that we want to be with every woman together and reconnect. We should no longer say we're against pornography, prostitution, veiling, female sexual and genital mutilation, because the clitoris is not a genital organ. No, we are for women, and anyone defending those misogynistic practices is against women. We are for women, by women, with women. We need a bit of democracy. We will no longer say we will not be silenced, because that is not enough, but we will say exactly like the name of this event, we will speak up, because we know the central importance of speech as social beings. And most importantly, please, women, let us commit to this. We will do the most controversial thing of all. We will be happy. Thank you very much.
Wow, Yağmur, that was absolutely fantastic. A lot packed into there. Very, very inspiring. You're a brilliant speaker, and I suspect you will definitely reach a lot of audiences with that. I mean, there's so much there. Our lack of matrilineal heritage, and just the takeaway idea that women should focus on what we're about rather than what we are against, because that very often is what derails us and keeps, manages to dissolve what it is we're trying to do. Thank you very much, Yağmur.